Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We have a great show for you. We'll tell you what's on the rundown today. We're doing a little bit differently. We're doing a now rundown of topics for today's show, and it's more official. That's the only real difference. But today, the Supreme Court stops Trump from stopping DACA. Who's responsible for these major wins? This win, and of course the case with the transgender and gay rights in the workplace. Number 3 on today's list, don't get too comfortable. Number 4, Chucky's gonna lose, we'll tell you that. And number 5, is this a bellwether? We'll let you know today on Newsflash. Very, very exciting stuff as we get ready for those big June 23rd primaries. Just 5 days away. Very exciting. And we will be starting off with some really exciting news today. The Supreme Court ruled Thursday that the Trump administration may not immediately proceed with its plan to end a program protecting about 700,000 young immigrants, known as Dreamers, from deportation, dealing a surprising setback to one of President Trump's central campaign promises. And it's like, this is really incredible because it's like we thought, oh well, like this is part and parcel of the Trump candidacy. And the fact, like, really the funny part of it is the fact that they wasted so much political capital to force in people like Brett Kavanaugh, force in people like Neil Gorsuch, and they really went all the way to do it. They thought the court would be everything, and they thought the court would be the end-all, be-all, and they would immediately get results all the time. Like Mitch McConnell, and to give him credit, probably he's going to be in the overall majority of things, and overall broad scheme of things, he's going to be right. Like that is going to be the most effective thing that he's going to end up doing. It's going to be incredibly effective. It's probably going to guarantee the Republicans' generational power in this country, no matter what happens at the voting booth. But it's not off to a good start. It's like this is exactly what they don't want. And Trump, of course, being so kind of tied to the power of the Supreme Court in the way that he is, and of course, McConnell has staked a lot of his legacy on, like, I'm the guy who thought the courts were very important. They can't really, although they are now starting to, of course, get a little bit mad about it because they put these guys in there. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the majority opinion, joined by the court's four liberal members, in upholding the executive action by President Barack Obama that established the program DACA. But the Chief Justice made clear that the decision was based on procedural issues and that the Trump administration could try to redress them. So, again, I think this is actually not the first time the Trump administration has done this, like screw up a really slam dunk legal proceeding that they probably, by the way, would have won anyway if they hadn't just made a stupid bonehead legal mistake, which is really kind of funny and shows you why I think Trump, in the long run and the scheme of things, when there's no crises that he can gradually just absolutely manhandle and just destroy and kill people in, I think he can actually, because Bush would not be doing this. Bush would not be doing this because he was a competent guy. Like, he would have had, if he had the opportunity, Obama would not be doing this. I mean, it was even his program. So, like, Obama would not be this incompetent. Like, any other president, really. I mean, honestly, any other president. But most of the time we talk about Bush, so I'm just bringing up Bush there. But it is his bill, so I wasn't trying to say Obama would get rid of it, but Bush, of course, definitely would, and he would just be much more effective. Because anybody's more effective than President Trump. It's really insane because he doesn't even have that same bureaucracy because he is such an outsider. He does not have that same bureaucracy, which is really quite apparent and quite lacking in a lot of respects. And I think it's probably something that the left is going to have to deal with in terms of the people that can staff them. Like, a big thing holding Trump's administration back is the fact that a lot of people, because he doesn't really have any kind of real school of thought behind him. Like, he's just coming in on his own wave. And the Trump organization isn't equipped with all the people that you need to staff a White House and give you the institutional, structural support. And the Republican Party, like, they're not the best people. They're like the basic Republican Party, like, worker bee that they would put in the White House. Like, he's not always going to be working with Trump 100%. Of course, there's people they can't fire. So I don't know. It's a really kind of interesting thing that's kind of shaped the Trump presidency that I don't think many people really talk about. But And it kind of comes through, I guess, in a way here too, when you see this just epically bumbling, stupid government just completely manhandle something to such a degree that is just so screwed up. It's pretty much sad at this point. Like, how can you screw this up this badly? Where now, I think there's other times they've been this. I think also related to DACA too, and I'm not going to look it up. You can do that if you want. But I know for a fact there's a time that they have really been hurt or maybe even lost a legal case that they could have won because they just were not prepared and made a stupid, shitty argument. Like, what? This is like the office of the like the best people should be literally attracted. I mean, I know Trump said it. It's kind of a joke. But the best people in any profession, the best people of any ideology, I mean, should want to come work with Trump. And it's like, it's the White House. They could shape history. Like, they could change history with the stroke of a pen. I don't know, I'm sounding very dramatic now, but it's like insane how badly they have fumbled so many of this stuff. And it's probably, of all things, I mean, depending on how he spins it, it could depress turnout, but the conservative movement right now, I think, is feeling pretty down on the dumps. There's no way to frame this any other way. Like, the momentum, the win they had in their sales, because, I mean, I think I've noticed some wind leaving the sales. Like, I don't know, I could just sense it. I don't know what it is, but I can just, like, sense there is some, like, the really, a cold wind swept over conservative town, I guess is what I would say if I was writing a book. Because it just feels that way. But, like, I just can't put my finger on, like, exactly what it is. But just the circumstances of the way things have been happening, and, like, the mass movement of people that we've seen over the past however many weeks these protests have been going on. And just a response to it and the way the election's going. I mean, again, it's really rare circumstances. And again, the Democratic Party, like, just seems to have lucked into two of the most layup elections in human history back to back. And they've dropped the first one. So it is really kind of crazy. The Democratic Party, they have to be thanking their lucky stars, because it's just like, They are the people who just put the no effort into the homework, and whenever they do, there's a sub every time now. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's just, but still, somehow they manage to get caught. I don't know. I just don't know. I feel like there was one time I was in school. I have a funny school story for you, everybody. When I was in art on this, like, the Mac computers, and this was before I did have a Mac computer. I'm doing the show on a Mac computer right now, but I wasn't really familiar with the Mac computers. It was like one of those Mac art, like, desktop things that we have in the school, and we were, like, playing Slitherio. It was like 3 or 4 years ago when Slitherio was a big thing, and then the teacher came in, and I was the only one that didn't close the thing in time. I was the only one. I was sitting right by the door too, so it's really inexcusable. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm like the Democratic Party in that kind of story there, but we shall see. So that is what is going on. So the decision was the second this week, as the New York Times reports, in which the court reached a result in a major case that elated liberals. On Monday, it ruled that LGBT workers were protected by a landmark civil rights law. Chief John Roberts was in the majority in that decision too. Trump responded with an angry attack on the court. So again, he had a little veneer the first time, but when the second time was the devastating 1-2 punch there, that's when things really hit. He said on Twitter, these horrible and politically charged decisions coming out of the Supreme Court are shotgun blasts into the face of people that are proud to call themselves Republicans or conservatives, he wrote on Twitter. And he made clear that he would make the composition of the court a campaign issue, as he did in 2016. And that's a big thing for a lot of people. And a lot of Republicans are like, they're right about that. And if he gets in, like, the court is more and more likely to, even if, like, for example, if Ruth Bader Ginsburg suddenly just said, like, a strong wind comes in while she's standing and she blows away at all 92 pounds of her, like, the court, like, it won't matter what John Roberts does anymore. John Roberts' time in charge will be over. So even if he goes in the majority with the liberals, it won't matter. So it's not like, again, in terms of composition of the court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg every time. It is crazy. And these victories, I do want to bring attention to this. This is a discourse piece in obviously by Jack Merkinson. As he writes, there was a great deal of justified rejoicing on Mondays after the Supreme Court handed down what is probably the biggest victory for LGBTQ people in American legal history in Bostock versus Clayton County. In a 6-3 majority decision written by conservative Neil Gorsuch, the court ruled that the Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act protects gay and trans people from workplace discrimination. Hopefully that's my Roman numerals all right. Yeah, that has to be. Yeah, that's not okay. Excuse me. It is Title 7. This needs to be placed in the proper context. It does not mean that discrimination has gone away, or that in a world of economic precarity, at will employment, and weak unions, employers won't necessarily find another way to fire someone. Oh my gosh. I apologize. The Supreme Court is not God. There is, as ever, a difference between what the law says and what actually happens to people. The revolution has not arrived. The battle is not won. But Bostock is a big deal, even within these constraints. It's a dramatic expansion of LGBTQ legal rights in this country, where just over half of the states didn't shield people from being fired because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Since it deals with the workplace, arguably it is more important of decision in terms of practical impact than Obergefell v. Hodges, which legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. I think that one, though, was probably a pretty important thing for a lot of people as well. I mean, I don't know. I guess in terms of money-making and like staying alive, I guess in terms of practicality, that would be the most important. But marriage, like same-sex marriage, like that is so huge, I think. And that is a big case as well. But anyway, but Bostock is still a big deal. As many people pronounce themselves surprised by the Supreme Court decision. And I was pretty surprised. I was pretty encouraged. But Jack Merkinson here in Splinter, he says he was not surprised. I'm sure he was encouraged, though, because this is obviously, it's a good thing for anyone who considers himself, I think, an ally of any, or is gay themselves. I don't know Jack Merkinson's sexuality here in the Discourse blog, but it is okay. So he said, I can't honestly say I was one of them. I was happy and relieved that the court ruled the right way, but the idea that 5 justices eager to deal such a hammer blow to LGBTQ people always seems strange to me, for the same reason that there hasn't been that kind of majority on the court for nearly 20 years. Since 2003, the court has been on a relatively solid glide path when it comes to LGBTQ rights, ruling over and over again in favor of expanding them. Even the exceptions to this rule have been seen as not a huge deal by legal observers. Anthony Kennedy's departure might have changed things, but it feels like things have come too far for the court to turn back now. That proved to be the case. Clearly, the court has made a decision about basic principles in this area and is not prepared to deviate from them. Now, why might that be? Legal experts have already delved into the reasoning behind the decision, and that's important. But it's equally important to remember the Supreme Court's a deeply political institution, and that anyone who says otherwise or thinks otherwise with this Supreme Court is just stupid. You got to be crazy. You got to be crazy to think the Supreme Court is not a deeply political institution, because it's an institution made up of people and people who decide inherently political things. Anyway, so in this, it's really every bit as soaked in politics as Congress or the White House. It's a whole area of politics, whole domain of politics. The court has been on a dizzying journey. In the space of 34 years, it's gone from supporting bans on gay sex to striking down workplace discrimination against trans people. As it happens, that's exactly the same journey that the U.S. as a whole has been on. In virtually every recent major LGBTQ rights decision, the court has been following public opinion, not shaping it. Monday's decision was no different. And it's really a pretty 74% of Republicans say it should be illegal for employees to be fired